Welcome back to the Wrap, joined now by Damon Amendolara. I've been suggested that I should start actually saying your real name, and I actually didn't even know you had a real name. I thought DA was your, you just came out as a baby and your mom thought
Yeah, no, DA has always been right from a little toddler, a little DA. So they've given you the suggestion to go with my full name.
Yes, but I think it works to go with DA because you're the DA show and that's your whole franchise that you've built up.
Well, Providence has a pretty big Italian population, I know, so maybe the Amendolara works here, right? Right off the boat.
I think it does.
My cousin, Danny Amendola, he just dropped the R and the A when he came across on the boat.
Okay.
He did another good game for the St. Louis Rams. So our family reunion, that should be real fun. The Amendolaras and then the Amendolas.
Yeah, and you are definitely a big hit in Providence with the Italian Americans, for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that support.
Yeah. To what you're really here to talk about, the Patriots game today. The easy question, did the Patriots go out and win this game, or did the Chargers hand it over to them on a silver platter?
Well, anytime you go across 3 time zones and you come out with a victory against a rival, you earn the victory, and the Patriots did. But this is what we talked about 1 week ago here, that the Chargers were going to make it easier than it had to be to actually win this game for the Patriots. Look at how many self-inflicted wounds the Chargers gave themselves today. The biggest one clearly being the jumping off sides on the final field goal attempt to make a 45-yarder, a 50-yarder. But how about, leaving the football on the ground when you're not touched? Not jumping on a football that was a lateral, that was behind the line of scrimmage. Turnover after turnover. Drop passes in critical spots. It was never ending, and this is why Norv Turner has to be fired if they ever want to win a Super Bowl, is because he's perennially an underachiever with that team. Today I thought the Chargers actually had a really great defensive game plan against the Patriots. New England really had trouble moving the football effectively, specifically through the air, but just too many self-inflicted wounds by the Chargers. And credit the Patriots, they're a good team, so they'll take advantage of that.
How concerned, lost in the mix of the Chargers messing up play after play, how concerned should Patriots fans be that the offense really was sputtering all day? I think the leading rusher had 24 yards.
Well, I think Brady's lack of success today, I thought, was pretty telling. That the Chargers figured out something in terms of creating some pressure without sending full house blitzes, trusting their secondary, but then also keeping the ground game in check. The Chargers against Brady really did a great job today. So that's something I think Patriots fans should have to watch out for, because as the Vikings come to town, the Vikings have a very stout front seven and a great defensive line, so they'll be able to collapse the pocket as well. Defensively, what Brady was unable to do, you got to give a lot of credit to the Chargers today. But again, that's just a wasted opportunity. San Diego falls to 2-5 despite holding Tom Brady to his worst day of the year. What does that say?
So San Diego's terrible. We know that. They're going downhill. On the other side, the Patriots are showing they can win games in all kinds of different ways. Is this kind of shaping up, do you think, to be one of those seasons where you look back and you're like, well, they shouldn't have won that game, they shouldn't have won that game, but at the end of the day, 13 wins on the board?
Well, yeah, before the season I had them at 10-6. I definitely have to jump up the prediction at this point. I don't think they're a surefire 13-3 or 12-4 at this point, but they're clearly an elite team in the AFC and an elite team in the NFL. Why? Look at what happened today to some of the other elite teams. The New Orleans Saints, huge letdown loss against the Cleveland Browns. We've seen the Ravens, get taken to overtime by the Buffalo Bills despite having a 10-point lead at home and dropping behind 24-10. You're seeing such a parity-driven league, and it's so cliche, and I hate even saying that, but this year it has been just defined by the elite teams are not that elite, and the really awful teams are somewhere kind of in the middle of the pack. Look what the Raiders did today in Denver. So here's where you have to credit the Patriots as being an elite team, is that they're not stubbing their toe in spots where they shouldn't be. They're not losing to opponents they shouldn't. They're making it tough on their opponents. They're doing the little things. And today was a great, great example of how the Patriots will not beat themselves. They will make you beat them. Where the Chargers will absolutely beat themselves and will have to almost get lucky that they're just more talented than all the mistakes they rack up over the course of a game.
You mentioned it, the Vikings coming to town. Two-part question for you. How is Bill going to play this up to his team now with Randy Moss coming back to town? And are you going to be wearing on Halloween a Randy Moss mask at Gillette Stadium?
Part 2 first. Of course, I think I'll be doing a lot of this. But I don't think you have to gear up for the Vikings if you're the Patriots at this point. This isn't kind of a middle-of-the-road season where, again, you're going 9-7, and this could be the difference between 10-6 or 9-7 or 8-8 and 9-7. You are legitimately an elite team in the AFC. And so what do elite teams do? Well, when a good team like the Vikings comes to your house, you gear up for it. I really don't think motivation is going to be a problem at all this season for the Pats because, frankly, you know that this team is unlike last year's team in which they weren't all buying into what Belichick was selling, in which there was a lot of personality conflicts and they weren't taking to coaching. This team is totally different. They might not be the most talented team in the AFC, but they're buying in and they're making it tough on opponents every Sunday.
Before I let you go, I know you talked about this all week, I'm sure, on your radio show. The NFL hits. They sent out another memo yesterday with a list of players that are multiple offenders that could be suspended. Have they gone too far with this, or did it go too far, and now they're trying to pull it back? Where does the NFL sit on this issue?
I'm not always a fan of Roger Goodell and how the NFL handles things, but when you watched football today, did you feel like it was a softer brand of football? This is what just grinds my gears. It's going to be flag football. This is going to be lingerie league football. This might as well be soccer. When you watched today's games, did you sense that it was less violent, less physical? Of course not. There's about this much difference between leading with the head and going after a guy's face mask and going an inch or two below that and getting a shoulder into a guy's sternum. Today was no less violent. You know, what it did was it raised awareness. These fines and the conversation raised awareness that head injuries are a serious, serious thing. Dante Robinson laid out Deshaun Jackson last week, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Dante Robinson didn't play today. Why? He had a concussion. So let's just raise awareness that can happen to both offensive players and defensive players. But today's brand of NFL wasn't any less violent or physical. It wasn't any less of a man's game. We got to get off that. People are so scared that any change will take away their football. No, it didn't take away anybody's football. It was good for the health of the game and the health of players.
And I think we saw that with the Brandon Merriweather hit early in the game. The technique was different. It was still a nice hit. But no one got hurt.
He was physical. He sent a message. He tried to break up the play, did not. But guess what? Instead of leading with a face mask, he led with a shoulder. Not a big difference, when it comes to the actual effect of the hit, but a big difference when it comes to the health of the players, and that's what's important.
All right, thanks a lot. Birth name, Damon. DA show on 98.5. The Sports Hub in Boston, and Twitter followers can find you on
The DA Show. We got breaking Patriots news all week long. The DA Show. Follow us on Twitter.
Funny stuff. Chris Rock has nothing on you.
Yeah, well, thanks.
All right, thanks a lot, DA. More rap coming up after this.